The one thing the Bruins have not done yet, they have a little more than $9 million in salary cap space. They still have not signed Jeremy Swayman. This past weekend, deadlines passed for arbitration filings. Both Swayman and the Bruins let those deadlines pass without filing, which in and of itself you'd say is insignificant. I shouldn't even say that. But given the history between the two, that they went to arbitration last year, there was some acrimony there. Swayman in particular was upset about it. The fact that that went by, I think, is now noteworthy because it does suggest to me further that there's a long-term deal coming and they're close. They're just hammering it out because otherwise, and I shouldn't even say that. That's what I think. But the Bruins obviously have confidence that they're not going to lose him as a restricted free agent because the price for a team acquiring him would be exorbitant.
Right.
Exorbitant. But just to refresh everyone's memory, the exchange that Don Sweeney had, was this with Ty Anderson?
I believe it was with Ty Anderson.
I think it was with
advocate for Jeremy Swayman.
Yeah, I think it was with Ty Anderson of 985thesportshub.com, who had this exchange with Sweeney early on.
This is for both Cam and Don. Ty Anderson, 985 The Sports Hub. Linus Ullmark has made it pretty clear that he loves being here, and if he has his say, he wants to stay here. Is it feasible? Is it realistic to have potentially 12 mil, 13 mil in goaltending, given the needs and the aggressiveness that you've talked about displaying in other positions this summer?
Well, I appreciate you negotiating for Jeremy in terms of doing the math, reverse engineering the math. But again, those things will take care of themselves. No conversation I'm going to have, with a player in terms of what we're trying to do until we have to have a conversation is really going to get public. And I hope you all respect that, because ultimately that's what a player, as a former player, I would hope would happen. We're going to find a landing spot with Jeremy Swayman, and if we can make the math work, we're going to have the best tandem. If we can't, we're going to explore, or Linus, may come to us and change his mind. That may occur as well. Right now, he's really happy. We were very happy to sign Linus, and in a perfect world, we would keep the tandem because I think it's damn good. But we're going to explore opportunities. My phone's going to ring. I'm going to make calls. That's just what the job requires. And fortunately, at times, unfortunately, things start to leak out. And that's your job. You guys do a hell of a job of figuring those things out, piecing together. Some guys are really wrong, but it doesn't stop you from throwing it out there, and that's okay. It's good for the business overall. It's good for hockey in terms of drawing attention and eyes to it. So I understand it.
So there's some fibbing there that went on with Sweeney. Now, again, that was pre-Ullmark trade. The Bruins have since traded him. Ideal world, we want to keep them together. No, you don't.
Right.
Because you want to try to free up some money and fill some other needs, and they didn't free up enough money in many people's minds, including mine. But whatever. We'll see how that shakes out. Swayman remains unsigned, but I think everybody believes it's headed in that direction. Do you believe it's headed in that direction?
I felt really good last week. Tony and Dondero. I felt great about it last week. It's like, the deal's done. The deal's going to happen. I was doing the morning show. It's going to happen at 9:42. I really felt great about it. And the more it has gone on, I understand it's negotiating, and sometimes you negotiate over things that, in the big picture, aren't really huge issues. Like your side, let's say, for example, the Bruins want to sign Jeremy Swayman for $7.5 million a season, and Swayman wants $8.5 million, and it takes them negotiating to get to 8 or 7.75, something like that. Sometimes that takes a long time, longer than it should. But I just feel like this is such an easy deal to get done, and it's not done. It scares me a little, and what scares me even more is Michael Felger saying last week that if Swayman wants $8 million, he'd just tell him, see you later. Now, it's Felger. I understand. But I'm thinking, would the Bruins look at it this way? Would they have so much confidence in their system and how, hey, goaltenders do well here, so many guys have good numbers here? Sure, they do. But Dondero, how old are you?
38 years old.
Okay, in your lifetime, they've always had good goaltenders. But in your lifetime, how many championships have you seen? One. Okay, so do they look at it and say, we've always had people who can play the position? Sure you do. But you've got potentially a star here in Jeremy Swayman. And at some point, you have to stop saying, hey, the system, we can get by. We don't necessarily have to pay like other teams have to pay because we've got the right perspective on this thing. At some point, you just got to pay your young star players. And this is the guy who played like a star, Tony, last year in the postseason.
He was great.
And I think he's got more room to grow. The ceiling, he hasn't hit a ceiling yet. So I think it's an $8 million deal. That's just me. It takes $8 million. That's what it's going to take to get Jeremy Swayman on board. And the longer it takes to get done, the more nervous I get.
Okay, so here he comes. He shoots and scores. Here Lemieux. Oh, great ball.
Oh, that's not the hockey minute. That doesn't count. That's not my hockey minute. That was my sober hockey analysis. Hockey minute is louder and dumber than that. I can get louder and dumber. Yeah, that's the hockey minute. That's not my hockey.
This goes back to your bygone era together. Is that
Bygone.
right, Jimmy?
100%.
Again, this one went right over my head. So, Jimmy,
So
look,
did most of the audience. If 2 people got it. It was Holley and I.
so well, that was terribly effective. So, Jimmy,
There's so many shots I can take, but I'm not. I'm going to take the high road. There's so many shots
Please
I can
don't.
take off that.
I'm here for all the shots.
Jimmy, what was the report you gave out at the end of the season that there may have been a deal coming at that time?
Oh, it was at the trade deadline. It was going to be 7-7.
Okay, 7
For
times
Swayman.
For Swayman, and the deal never got announced, never
Still
happened.
sweating that one out.
Okay, so Jimmy said that at the time that he heard they were close to an agreement way back when. We're still waiting, and I think Sweeney got pissed off. Okay, if the fact that news of that deal leaked, I think Sweeney got pissed off about it. I feel like they've mended fences. I do think a deal's coming, Michael. But just as a point of note for people out there, if a deal does not come, Swayman's a restricted free agent. And Ty Anderson had this item on our website, and it's worth repeating. The price for another team to get Swayman would be astronomical.
Right.
First of all, the Bruins have about $9.3 million, I think it is, in cap space. A little over $9 million. So the only way they couldn't match the money is if someone goes up in the ranges of over $9 million. Not that they want to use all of it, but you get the idea.
They wouldn't. I don't think so.
More importantly, any of the teams that signed Swayman, because he's restricted, would have to give up 2 firsts, a second, and a third that are all originally their picks, meaning they can't be picks that were acquired in a trade. They have to be that franchise.
That's a lot.
So Ty actually went through the list and said there were really only about 7 teams that could afford that. Buffalo, Montreal, Detroit, Philadelphia, the Islanders, Seattle, Nashville. That's it. Okay, that's it.
And some of those teams.
So meaning there is no market really for Swayman.
And like some of those teams are bad teams where you wouldn't do it. Like if you're Buffalo and you do that, you haven't made the playoffs in like 12 or 13 seasons. You're basically you're allowing the Bruins to just control. You might give up the number 1 pick in the draft, or you're giving up. If you're Buffalo, you're giving up 2 top 5 picks if you make that deal for Jeremy Swayman.
Exactly right. Yeah, this is sort of what happened when. Was it Tyler Seguin, Jimmy, that was a restricted? No, Phil Kessel.
Phil Kessel, yeah.
Phil Kessel. It was Phil Kessel. Was a restricted free agent. The Bruins ended up getting 2 first-round picks for him. One was Seguin, the other was Jordan Knight.
But Mazz,
Dougie Hamilton.
But my nervousness
2 firsts and a second.
My nervousness is not that they're going to lose Swayman. It's the return of the acrimony, and what does that do?
Gotcha.
That is generally, all right. Is that the best thing for a franchise when you're trying to win a cup and you have this back and forth between Swayman and the Bruins?
My guess is Ullmark would still be here if there was any acrimony. That's my guess. And I'm just giving you my 2 cents, Michael. What the hell do I know? I'm not tapped into the hockey agent world, although you might be surprised. But that is neither here nor there. I think that it's a matter of time.
Hey, Don Sweeney already said that. You guys do a great job, but a lot of guys are wrong. He said both in that clip.
No. Again, he had to.
You guys do a great job, but a lot of guys
start to leak out, and that's your job. You guys do a hell of a job of figuring those things out, piecing them together. Some guys are really wrong.
No. He had to give his media lecture in the process.
Give both.
Yeah. No, let me.
You do a hell of a job, but you know what? You're wrong.
That's right. Let's blame the media for doing their jobs.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.